Do you find yourself waking up in the middle of the night? If so, then this video is for you. My name is Brindle and I'm here to talk to you all about sleep. So, sleep. Who would have thought that having a good night's sleep is such a problem for so many people? After years working in clinic, I can assure you that sleep as well as energy seems to be one of the holy grails of modern living, that most of us aren't getting enough of it. We're either not getting to sleep in the first place, we can't stay asleep once we go down, or we wake up feeling absolutely exhausted, or we're dragging ourselves through the day and we're having a complete meltdown in the middle of the afternoon. If any of this applies to you, then you really do have my sympathy. But the good news is there's actually quite a lot that you can do about it, and Chinese medicine can really help you. So, what is sleep all about according to Chinese medicine? Well, there's a few things. The first is the sleep cycle is connected to the movement of yin and yang. So the yang energy is the active energy, that's movement, which is like daytime, and the yin energy is nighttime. And for the body to be healthy, there is a beautiful balance between the action of yang and the rest of yin. But if we are overacting and overexhausted and just working too hard and are overwhelmed and stressing ourselves and straining ourselves far too much, then the reality is it's like an overstretched rubber band. It can't go back into place. And that's what's going on in our lives, that we're overstretching ourselves in the yang time of the day, which means the yin just kind of can't really get a look in at night. That's the first problem. Now, the second problem is the stress response. What goes on with the stress response is it plays absolute havoc with the fundamental pillars of health in our body. Now, there are three fundamental pillars which I've talked about before on this YouTube, but let me just, for simplicity's sake, remind you now, because each one of these three has a massive impact on why you can't sleep, and stress plays havoc with all of them. The first thing you need to understand about being healthy is that you need the circulation to move freely around your body. Now, as far as sleep is concerned, in the yang time of the day, the circulation is moving on the exterior, we're nice and warm, and that's why we move around. And at night time, that circulation moves to the interior of the body where it nourishes and heals the organs and does all the repair work. That's why we put duvets and covers over ourselves to keep warm, because the blood isn't at the exterior of the body. Now, what happens with the stress response is that it absolutely annihilates that process, because when we go into fight or flight, the smooth flow of qi and blood, of circulation around the body, gets impaired and compromised to a very, very high level. And consequently, it's either full of stress hormones or it's stuck in the muscles, or both. And therefore, when it comes to sleeping at night, the blood either can't move into the interior of the body, or if it does move, it's kind of full of toxicity and the body doesn't really want it. Now, the second thing is that the cells are constantly purging and nourishing during the course of our days. Now, the reality is that when we are always on and in fight or flight and rushing around like headless chickens in the day, this cellular activity gets massively compromised. And often then what happens is the cells have to restore themselves at night time and make up for the things that they weren't doing in the day, because there simply wasn't enough time to focus on it. So what then happens is the liver will get involved in the time of night when the energy hits that organ, which is between 1 and 3 a.m. And when the energy hits the liver organ, it's quite a big bossy organ that goes, right, I'm going to be in charge, I'm sorting this out, and it gets busy and active. And that's often why we wake up at that time, because what it's doing is it's trying to make up for all of the things that haven't happened in the daytime in order to keep the body detoxified. So that's often why you wake up at that time. Now, thirdly, what happens is that for the body to be healthy, the 5 key organs need to be balanced and healthy. And these are the heart, the lung, the spleen, the liver, and the kidney. Now, what then happens at night time is that if those organs have been stressed and overwhelmed during the course of the day, and we're not following good lifestyle advice, which most of us have not been until quite recently, then what happens is the compromise on those organs again starts to kick in at night time. Because they're in rest time, they can try and rectify the fact that they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing in the daytime, and that wakes you up, because it's this sort of low level of frequency of activity that starts to mean that the organs start fibrillating and coming up with their yang energy, because they're trying to get themselves cleared for the next day. So, what do we do? That's the question. It's all very well to understand what the problem is, but the answer actually, once you understand, is surprisingly easy. So let me just give you a few really good tips as to what you can do to improve your sleep. The first is to download something called the Meditation Bell. It's a really handy free app which gives you the sound of a gong whenever you hear it. I set that bell for an hour during the course of the day. So every hour the bell will go. And it's a beautiful bell. It's a nice soft tone, so it's not an aggressive noise. And what that will do is it will act as a reminder for me to just take 5 deep breaths. Now, in an ideal world, you would close your eyes and go into a semi-meditation. But given that most of us are at work, then the easier way of doing it is just to hear the bell and to focus on your lower belly, which is here, and just breathe, smile on your lips, and just take 5 deep breaths down into your lower belly. This is possible to do whatever you're doing. You could be driving, you could be in a meeting, you could be on public transport, you could be on the phone, you could be answering emails at your desk, you could be doing all manner of things. But the reality is that if you take those 5 deep calming breaths, one of the first things that you're going to do is offset the negative impact of the stress response and flood the body with all important chi and breath into the body, which will naturally restore and harmonize. That's the first thing. The second thing to do is to tap the body. So I have a tapper here, which I use every single day. So when that bell goes off, or if I've just gone to the loo, or if I've just gone to the kettle to go make myself a hot drink, I then go back to my desk, I grab my tapper, this one's from the Hey You method, and I just tap all around the body, starting at the middle, and then I go down the outside of each leg and up the inside. Then I go over the chest, down the inside of the arm and up the outside. Over the shoulders and the back, down the other arm, and over the head. Now, that 1 minute tapping routine is going to make a massive difference to how you sleep, because what it's doing is it's rectifying the circulation and the fact that the stress response and our over sedentary lifestyle is messing up our sleep because we are having too much blood full of stress hormones getting stuck in the muscles during the course of the day. So I use my tapper, I keep it on my desk, and I use it whenever I take a natural break away from what I'm doing, which tends to be sort of 5 to 10 times a day. Now then, I also use the same tapper before I go to sleep. And this is the last little bit of technique which I'm going to give you because it's really, really good. One of the first things to do is to grab that tapper before you go to sleep and to tap the lower feet. Because when you go to sleep at night, the energy of the body goes in at the ankle just here. This is where the sleep process begins, which is kind of weird for us to get our heads around, but that's where the energy goes into the body in order to go to the interior at night. And in Chinese medicine, the energy commands the blood, and the blood nurtures the energy. So it's very important for us to focus on our lower legs before we go to sleep. So you grab your tapper and just tap all around the feet and the backs of the calves and behind the knees, and all importantly around the ankles. Now that is a really, really important thing to do. Now the other really important thing to do is to wash your feet. It sounds very old-fashioned, but foot bathing is incredibly good for supporting sleep. So you can just get yourself a washing up bowl, which is about £1, and you put some warm water in it and some Hey You bath crystals, and that will do the trick. But if that sounds like a bit of a faff, then what I do very simply, I just run some water and just stick my foot under the tap. Now I'm using some of the Hey You shower minerals here, which are lovely because they've got aromatherapy ingredients which really relax yet energize the body, and it's perfect before bed. And then I use a very simple massage technique on my feet where I'm just massaging a whole load of acupuncture points just by doing an all-over foot massage and relaxing the body. This is why they used to use soap massages in hammams and things, because it's really good for stimulating the body in the right way and working into the ankles, and then just simply rinsing the feet. Feels absolutely heavenly. It's such a lovely thing to do. Just grab a towel and dry them. Now, what you'll notice if you try that is that you feel amazing. My foot feels so fantastic at the end of that, and it really makes a massive difference to how you feel. And it's different from having a complete bath, okay? Having a complete bath immersion sort of has a different impact on the body. Just focusing on those lower legs and the feet and the ankles has a massively important impact on the body and on your sleep. Now, there is also a whole sleep masterclass available on my website, as well as a free downloadable sleep fact sheet. So if that's any help for you, please do go over to my website and have a look. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining me today. If there's anyone you think would benefit from this information, do please forward this on to them. Do please like this post if you've enjoyed it, and do of course comment on the notes underneath if there's anything more that you would like me to help you with. And in the meantime, I'll see you next week.